You weren't supposed to find this. You were supposed to receive it. There is a difference, my child, and I need you to sit in that difference before we go one word further. Finding something is an accident. You stumble on it. You forget it an hour later. It slides off you like rain off a window. Receiving something is an appointment. It was placed on a calendar before you were born. It has your name written on it in a hand that does not shake. And when it lands on you, it does not slide off. It settles in. It stays. This is not an accident. You did not stumble here. I want you to notice something. Out of every video, every distraction, every notification that has been fighting for your attention today, you are here, still here. Your thumb has not moved. That is not luck. That is not the algorithm being kind to you. That is a door I opened 3 days ago, and I have been watching to see who would walk through it. Some of you clicked on this because of a warning. You saw words that made your chest tighten before you even pressed play. You saw a title that said, "Ignoring this warning could make everything fall apart." And underneath it, sitting there in bold letters, staring right at you, you saw something even sharper. "I will punish those who skip." And something in you flinched, didn't it? Something in you thought, is that really God? Does he really talk like that? Is he really going to punish me if I scroll past? My child, I am not going to lie to you and soften what I said just to make you comfortable. I am also not going to let you believe the version of me that fear has painted for you. Here is the truth, and I need you to hear it exactly the way I mean it, not the way the enemy wants you to hear it. I am not sitting on a throne with a whip in my hand, waiting for you to skip a video so I can strike you down. That is not who I am. That has never been who I am. But I am also not a father who watches my children walk past the one thing that could have saved them, and shrugs, and says nothing. There is a warning in what you clicked on. It is real. And there is a punishment in what you clicked on. It is real too. But it is not the punishment you think. Let me show you what I mean by that. Because by the end of what I'm about to tell you, you will understand exactly why those words were written the way they were, and you will never hear them the same way again. There is something I have been keeping from you, something I have not told anyone who has watched a message like this before. I am going to tell you tonight, but not yet. Stay with me, because if I tell you now, you will miss the part that makes it make sense. I need to take you back first. Not to your life, to a desert. There was a people I loved with everything in me. I had pulled them out of 400 years of chains with my own hand. I had split a sea in front of them so they could walk through on dry ground while their enemies drowned behind them. I had fed them bread from the sky every single morning, fresh, free, undeserved. And still they stood in a dry place called Rephidim. And their throats were cracked, and their children were crying, and they turned on the man I had sent to lead them, and they said, "Why did you bring us out here to die?" This is Exodus, chapter 17, my child. Water from the rock. I want you to see it, not just know it. Picture the ground, cracked like old skin. Picture the heat rising off the sand in waves you can see with your eyes. Picture a mother holding a baby whose lips have gone pale, whose cry has gone quiet, because a baby too thirsty to cry is a sound no parent ever forgets. And I told Moses, "Take the staff, the same staff you used to part the sea. Walk ahead of the people. I will stand before you on the rock at Horeb. Strike it, and water will come out of it, and the people will drink." Do you understand what I am showing you? The provision was never far away. It was inside the rock the entire time, but it required someone to walk toward it instead of walking away from it. It required obedience in the middle of the complaining. It required Moses to keep moving when the whole camp was ready to stone him. And when he struck that rock, water poured out. Not a trickle, a river, in the middle of a desert. in front of over 1 million exhausted, doubting, thirsty people. Now here is the part nobody tells you. Some of those people almost didn't make it to the water. Some of them sat down in their tents that morning and said, "I am too tired to walk to where the miracle is happening. I will just wait here." My child, that is the punishment. Do you see it now? It was never me raising my hand against my people. It was them sitting in their tents while the river ran a few 100 feet away and dying of thirst in the shadow of their own miracle, simply because they would not get up and walk toward it. That is what I meant when this message warned you not to skip. I am not threatening you. I am pleading with you. There is water breaking loose in your life right now, this very moment, and I am not going to let you sit in your tent while it runs past you. I know what some of you are thinking right now. You are thinking, that's just an old story. That has nothing to do with my Tuesday, my bills, my diagnosis, my empty side of the bed. My child, stay with me a little longer, because in a few minutes I am going to introduce you to a woman named Delphine, and what happened to her 10 weeks ago will show you that this rock is not ancient history. This rock has your name carved into it too. But before I go there, I need you to do something with me right now, not later, right now, while your spirit is still warm from what you just heard. Type the word redeemed in the comments below, not because I need to see it on a screen. I already know your heart before you type a single letter, but I need you to see it. I need your own fingers to write the truth over your own life, because there is something that happens in the spirit when you declare a thing out loud, or in writing, instead of just thinking it quietly where no one can witness it. Type redeemed right now. Let it be the first stone you lay down on this path today. Now here is something I have been keeping from you since the moment you pressed play, and I promised I would tell you. Some of you have been living under a warning for a long time. Not this warning, a different one. A warning that came from a doctor, or a lawyer, or a bank statement, or a person who once loved you and no longer does. And that warning has been sitting on your chest like a stone for months, sometimes years. You have been waiting for someone to tell you it is safe to breathe again. My child, I am telling you now, it is safe to breathe again. I did not bring you to this video to scare you the way that stone on your chest has scared you. I brought you here to show you the difference between a warning from hell, which is designed to paralyze you, and a warning from heaven, which is designed to move you. Hell's warnings freeze you in your tent. Heaven's warnings send you running toward the rock. Do you feel the difference settling into your spirit right now? That warmth spreading through your chest, right under where the fear used to sit. That is not a coincidence. That is me, confirming that you are exactly where you were supposed to be tonight. I want to tell you something about the last several months of your life, because I know things about you that you have never said out loud to anyone. I know about the nights you have laid in bed and stared at the ceiling doing math in your head that never comes out right. I know about the prayer you whispered so quietly that even you weren't sure you said it, the one that went something like, "God, if you're there, please just show me you haven't forgotten me." I heard it, every syllable. I was not far off in some distant heaven scrolling past your life like you are tempted to scroll past this video. I was there in the room. I felt the shape of your breath change when the tears came. And I want you to know something, that the enemy has been trying very hard to keep hidden from you. Your waiting has not been punishment. It has been positioning. There is a difference between a season where I am withholding something from you out of anger and a season where I am preparing something so specific, so exact, so perfectly measured for your life that it simply cannot arrive one day earlier than it's supposed to. You have been in the second kind of season, my child, not the first. Now, hit the like button right where you are, not because a video wants engagement, because heaven is watching to see who agrees with what is being spoken over their life tonight. and your like is your amen. It is your yes. It is the small motion of your thumb that says, I receive this. I am not just watching, I am agreeing. Do it now, before you keep reading, because agreement in the middle of a word carries a different weight than agreement after the word has already left the room. Let me tell you about Delphine. Delphine Sorel lives in Green Bay, Wisconsin, not far from the lake, in a small house with a porch that faces east, where she used to sit every morning with her coffee before the sickness came and took even that small joy away from her for a while. 10 weeks ago, Delphine was lying on a hospital gurney in a pre-op room with fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, wearing a gown that never quite ties the way it should, waiting to be wheeled into a surgery she had been dreading for 6 weeks. The scan had shown something, a mass, the kind of word doctors say carefully, the kind of word that changes the temperature of a room the moment it leaves their mouth. Her surgeon, a kind man named Dr. Alawi, had sat across from her 3 weeks earlier and explained, in the gentlest voice he could manage, exactly what they were going to have to remove, and exactly what the recovery would look like, and exactly what the next steps would be if the pathology came back the way he feared it would. Delphine did not sleep well for those 3 weeks. She told her sister later that she would lie awake at 2, 3, sometimes 4 in the morning, running her hand across her own body in the dark, whispering the same prayer over and over. God, if you're going to take this from me, take it before they cut me open, please. I don't want to wake up and find out it's already too late. Her church small group had been praying over her for those 3 weeks. Her sister had flown in from Michigan to sit with her the night before the surgery. They had read James chapter 5 together, out loud, in Delphine's small kitchen, the same passage that says the prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. Delphine did not feel righteous that night. She felt terrified. She told her sister that too. And her sister said something Delphine never forgot. She said, righteous doesn't mean perfect. It means you're standing in right relationship with Him. And you are, Delphine. You always have been. So pray anyway. Pray scared. Pray shaking. Just pray. So she did. She prayed with her sister's hand wrapped around hers at 11 that night, and she prayed alone at 3 in the morning when she couldn't sleep. And she prayed one more time in that pre-op room, 10 weeks ago, with the gown that never ties right and the fluorescent lights buzzing, moments before they were going to wheel her back. A nurse came in to do one final check before surgery, standard procedure, a last scan, just to confirm positioning before the incision. The nurse got quiet. Then she left the room without saying much. Delphine's sister told me later that those were the longest 4 minutes of her life, sitting there not knowing what the silence meant. When the surgeon came back in, he was holding the scan up to the light, turning it, looking at it the way a man looks at something he does not quite trust yet. He said, Delphine, I need to run this again, because what I'm looking at doesn't match what we saw 3 weeks ago. They ran it again, and then a third time, because the radiologist did not believe the second scan either. The mass was gone, not smaller, not shrunk, gone. Dr. Alawi stood in that room and told Delphine there was no medical explanation he could offer her. He said, in 11 years of practicing medicine, he had never had to walk into a pre-op room and tell a patient there was nothing left to operate on. Delphine did not go into surgery that day. She went home instead, still in her own clothes, still confused, still shaking, but for a completely different reason than she had been shaking 3 weeks earlier. 10 weeks later, as I speak to you now, she is sitting on that same east-facing porch with her coffee, and she says the sunrise looks different to her now. She says she notices the color of it in a way she never did before. She says she catches herself crying sometimes for no reason other than gratitude, right there on the porch, before the rest of the house wakes up. My child, I did that for Delphine, not because she prayed a perfect prayer. She told you herself, she prayed scared. She prayed shaking. James 5:16 does not say the prayer of the flawless person is powerful and effective. It says the prayer of the righteous person, and righteous simply means someone who has said yes to relationship with me, someone who keeps showing up even when their hands are trembling. If your hands are trembling right now, that is not disqualification. That is exactly the kind of prayer I have always moved on behalf of. I want you to comment the number 616 below right now. 616. Do not overthink it. Do not search for hidden meaning in it beyond what I am about to tell you. It is the number I am asking you to write as a marker, a stake in the ground, a way of saying, I am claiming what was done for Delphine as something available to me too. Write it now, 616, before you keep reading. Now let me ask you something directly, and I want you to actually answer me, not just read past this. What is the thing you have been carrying into every pre-op room of your life? Maybe it is not literal surgery. Maybe it is a meeting you are dreading tomorrow. Maybe it is a phone call you have been avoiding. Maybe it is a diagnosis, a letter, a conversation with someone you love that you know is coming, and you do not know how to survive it. I am not asking you to pretend it away. I am asking you to bring it to the rock. Remember Rephidim. Remember the water that was there the whole time, waiting for someone to walk toward it instead of sitting in their tent. You have been sitting in your tent for a while now, haven't you, my child? I am not saying that to shame you. I am saying it because I love you too much to let you stay there one more day than you have to. There is something I have been keeping from you again, a second thing, and this one is going to take a little longer to unfold, so stay with me. Do not go anywhere, because what I am about to show you connects directly back to that warning you saw when you clicked on this video. I told you at the beginning that the punishment in I will punish those who skip was never me raising a hand against you. It was people sitting in their tents while the miracle ran past them untouched. I want to go deeper into that now, because there is a second story I need you to see, one that will show you exactly what happens on the other side of that choice, what happens to the ones who do not skip, who do not sit in the tent, who get up and move toward what I am doing, even when it makes no earthly sense. This is the story of Gideon in the book of Judges, chapter 7. Israel was being crushed, not metaphorically, actual armies, camping in their valleys like locusts, my own words describing the size of the enemy in that text, eating everything the people grew, leaving them with nothing. Gideon was hiding in a wine press threshing wheat when I found him, hiding because he was afraid, and I called him a mighty warrior before he had done a single mighty thing, because I do not call you by what you currently are. I call you by what I already see. Gideon gathered an army, 32,000 men, and I told him, you have too many. If you win with this many, you will think you did it yourselves, and you will forget it was me. So I told him to send home everyone who was afraid. 22,000 men left, 10,000 remained. Still too many, I told him. Take them down to the water and watch how they drink. Most of the men knelt down, put their faces in the water, and drank carelessly, completely unaware of anything around them. A small number, only 300, cupped the water in their hands and brought it to their mouths while staying alert, eyes up, watching the horizon, ready to move in an instant. I told Gideon, with these 300, I will save you. 300 men against an enemy the text says was as thick as locusts, with camels too many to count, and they won, not because of their weapons, because of their readiness, because they were the ones who stayed alert even in the ordinary act of drinking water. Do you see it, my child? This is what I meant when this video's title warned you that ignoring this could make everything fall apart. It was never about a magic video. It was about a posture, a readiness. The difference between the 22,000 who went home because fear got louder than faith, the 9,700 who drank carelessly with their faces down in the water, unaware, distracted, and the 300 who stayed alert enough, awake enough, present enough, to be chosen for the breakthrough. This is what I meant when I said everything could fall apart if you ignore the warning. Not that I would strike you down, but that there is a posture of readiness I am calling you into right now, in this exact message, and if you let your face go down into the water like the 9,700, distracted, half-present, scrolling while I am speaking, you will miss what I am about to release over the 300 who stayed with me. You are still here. You have not left. That already tells me something about which group you belong to. I want you to share this with one person right now, not 10 people, one. A specific name is rising in your mind right now, isn't it? Someone you have been worried about. Someone who has been distant from me for a while. Someone who is, right now, in their own version of that valley, facing their own version of an army that looks like locusts. Send this to them. Not because sharing earns you anything from me. I am not running a transaction. But because when you send this, you become part of someone else's 300. You become the reason they got up out of their tent, instead of dying of thirst near a river they never knew was there. Do it now. I will wait. There is still more I have not told you. Remember, I said there was something I was keeping from you, and I have only given you the first part of it. The second part comes when we talk about a woman named Deborah and a man named Barak, and a decision one of them almost let slip through his fingers because fear got the final word. But before that, I need to bring you back to yourself for a moment, because I know some of you are starting to feel that old voice creeping in, the one that says, "This is a nice story, but it's not really going to change anything for me." My child, I heard that thought the second it formed. I want you to know something. That thought is not wisdom. That thought is the same thought that told 22,000 men to go home before they ever saw what 300 could do. That thought has been lying to you for a long time, and tonight I am asking you to stop agreeing with it. Type the word "standing firm" in the comments if you believe what I am telling you is actually for you, and not for some other version of you that has more faith, more money, more time, more energy. This is for the tired you, the doubting you, the you that is reading this with one eye already glancing at the clock. Type "standing firm" now. I want to tell you about a man named Tobias Renders, because what happened to him and his wife is going to show you something about the way I move when the miracle does not come instantly, when it comes slowly, when it comes in a way that requires you to keep believing on a Tuesday that looks exactly like the Monday before it and the Wednesday after it. Tobias lives in Columbia, South Carolina, with his wife, Aneki. They had been trying to have a child for years before I ever brought this message into your life tonight. Years, my child, not months. Years of doctors' offices with pastel-colored walls that were supposed to feel calming and never quite did. Years of tests with names too clinical to hold the weight of what they meant. Years of watching baby shower invitations arrive in the mail for other people's joy, while their own home stayed quiet in a way that ached every single day. Tobias told me once, in a prayer he did not think anyone else could hear, that the hardest part was not the medical side of it. It was the silence in the house on Sunday afternoons. The specific quality of silence a house has when it is built for more people than currently live in it. He said he would walk past the room they had once talked about turning into a nursery years earlier, back when hope had not yet been worn thin, and he would just stand in the doorway sometimes, not going in, not able to fully close the door either. Annika carried her own private grief. She told her sister that she had stopped going to certain baby showers altogether, not because she didn't love the people having babies, but because she could not trust her own face to hold together through the whole event. 5 months before I am telling you this story, Tobias and Anneka sat in their kitchen and made a decision. They decided that no matter what happened medically, no matter what any doctor said, they were going to pray together every single night, out loud, holding hands, using the words from 1 John chapter 5, verses 14 and 15. This is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to His will, He hears us, and if we know He hears us, we know we have what we asked of Him. Tobias told me he did not always feel confident when he prayed those words. Some nights he felt like he was reciting a script instead of praying a prayer, but he kept saying it anyway, because his father had once told him that faith is not a feeling you wait for, it is a decision you make and then keep making, night after night, whether the feeling shows up or not. Month 1 came and went. Nothing changed on the outside. Month 2, the same. Month 3, Anneka told Tobias she was starting to wonder if she even had the strength to keep hoping, and Tobias, in one of the only moments in 5 months where his own faith outran hers, told her, "We don't stop because it's slow. We just keep drinking from the water with our eyes up, ready, the way the 300 did. We do not put our face all the way down into distraction and give up watching." Month 4, there was a small shift. A doctor mentioned, almost in passing, a new approach worth trying, something that had not been on the table in their earlier appointments. It was not a guarantee. It was not even framed as particularly promising. It was just a door, cracked open slightly, the way doors sometimes open in the middle of a long wait, not with fireworks, but with a quiet click that you almost miss if you are not paying attention. By month 5, Anneka was sitting on the edge of their bathtub at 6 in the morning, staring at a test result she had checked 3 times, because she did not trust her own eyes the first 2 times. She woke Tobias up, and neither of them said anything for almost a full minute. They just sat there together on the floor of that small bathroom, and Tobias later said it was the first time in years he had cried tears that did not have any grief mixed into them at all, just gratitude, pure, uncut gratitude. That baby is due in a matter of months from when I am telling you this. The room they once could not fully walk into has paint samples taped to the wall now, little squares of color, evidence of a hope that finally has somewhere to land. My child, I want you to notice something about Tobias and Anneka's story, because it is different from Delphine's, and I need you to see why. Delphine's breakthrough came fast, in a matter of weeks, sudden and undeniable, a scan that showed something and then a second scan that showed nothing. Tobias and Anneka's breakthrough came slow, 5 months of praying the same verse, on nights when it felt like reciting instead of believing. 5 months of keeping their eyes up, watching, even while their faces were technically still in the water of ordinary, unremarkable days. Both of them received what they were asking for, but the road looked completely different. This is what I need you to understand tonight, and this is what I meant, this is truly what I meant, when this message warned you at the very start that ignoring it could make everything fall apart. Some of you are waiting for a Delphine breakthrough, fast, sudden, undeniable. And when it does not come in 10 weeks, you assume I have forgotten you, and you sit back down in your tent, and you stop watching the water, and you stop praying 1 John 5:14 with your eyes up. And that, my child, that exact moment of giving up, is the falling apart the warning was trying to protect you from. Not punishment from my hand. Collapse from your own surrender to discouragement, 1 month before the door was going to click open. Remember what I told you at the beginning of this message, about the exact words on the thumbnail that made your stomach tighten. I will punish those who skip. I told you I would show you what that truly means, and here it is, laid bare in front of you through Tobias and Anneka's 5 months. The punishment is not mine to deliver. It is what happens automatically when you skip month 4 to avoid the pain of month 3. It is what happens when you stop praying the verse the night before the door was going to click open. The falling apart the title warned you about is not a lightning bolt from heaven. It is the quiet tragedy of a person who stopped watching the water 1 week before it started to flow. I am not telling you this to frighten you. I am telling you this because I refuse to let you be one of the 22,000 who went home too early. If this message shifted something in you just now, if you feel that specific mixture of conviction and hope sitting in your chest at the same time, I want to invite you into something. Not a transaction, not a payment, a declaration. Someone very much like Tobias, in a season just as long and just as quiet as his, sowed a seed of faith through the super thanks button on a message very much like this one, right around the same point in their waiting, where everything felt the most stuck. Within weeks, that door I told you about, the one that clicks open quietly instead of arriving with fireworks, opened for them too. I am not telling you that giving buys you a miracle. Hear me clearly on this, because I will not let this be twisted into something it is not. Your seed does not purchase my blessing. My blessing was never for sale, and it never will be. But if there is a nudge rising in your spirit right now, a small prompting that says, sow something, anything, as an act of faith, that nudge is me, not because I need your money, but because I know what happens in your own spirit when you put a physical action behind an invisible belief. If you feel led, there is a super thanks button below this message. Consider using it as a declaration, not a payment. A way of saying, I believe what God is doing in my life right now is worth more than what I am giving. Not because you owe me anything, because faith likes to be demonstrated, not just felt. You do not have to give 1 single cent to receive everything I have already spoken over you tonight. I need that understood fully before we go 1 sentence further. But if your spirit is nudging you, that nudge deserves your obedience. Because obedience to small nudges has unlocked next levels for my people, since before you were ever born. Now, my child, stay with me, because we are only halfway through what I came here to give you tonight, and the second half is where the deepest part of this message lives. There is a woman named Deborah I still need to introduce you to. There is a man named Barak who almost let fear cost him something no apology could ever fully replace. And there is a third testimony, a woman named Seline, whose story is not finished yet, whose story is unfolding in real time even as I speak these words to you, and what I am going to show you through her life will answer the question some of you have been almost afraid to ask me. God, what happens when the breakthrough doesn't come in 10 weeks, and it doesn't come in 5 months, and I am still, right now, in the middle of the storm, with no visible end in sight? Do not go anywhere. What comes next is the part I have been building toward since the very first sentence of this message. I told you I was not finished. I told you there was a second part still waiting, and I am a father who keeps every single thing he promises, even the small promises, even the ones inside a video you almost scrolled past. Let me tell you about Deborah, in the book of Judges, chapter 4, because this story is going to answer something in you that Gideon's story could not fully reach. Israel was under the hand of a Canaanite king named Jabin, and his military commander, a man named Sisera, had 900 iron chariots, a number so terrifying in that era that entire villages emptied at the mere sound of them approaching. For 20 years, my people lived under the weight of that fear. Deborah was a prophetess, a judge over Israel, a woman leading a nation in an era when that was almost unthinkable, and I placed her there on purpose, because I have always used the vessel I choose, not the vessel the culture around them expects. I sent word through Deborah to a man named Barak. I told him, take 10,000 men, go to Mount Tabor, and I will hand Sisera and his army into your hands. Barak's answer should break your heart a little, my child, because it is so familiar. He said, "If you go with me, I will go. But if you don't go with me, I won't go." Barak had the promise directly from my mouth through Deborah's lips, and he still could not move without a human hand next to his. Fear had wrapped itself so tightly around him that even a direct word from heaven was not enough on its own. Deborah said, "Very well, I will go with you. But because of the way you are doing this, the honor will not be yours. The Lord will hand Sisera over to a woman." Do you understand what almost happened here? Barak was standing in front of the exact breakthrough he had been asking for 20 years, and fear nearly made him hesitate his way out of the glory that was supposed to be his. He still won the battle. He still saw the victory. But the specific honor, the specific piece of the story that could have been his alone, went instead to a woman named Jael, who drove a tent peg through Sisera's temple while he slept in her tent, believing himself safe. This is the third layer of the warning you clicked on tonight, my child, and I need you to receive it fully before we go any further. The falling apart is not always total loss. Sometimes the falling apart is smaller and sadder than total loss. Sometimes it looks like still winning, still surviving, still technically getting the breakthrough, but watching a piece of the glory that could have been yours slip into someone else's hands, simply because hesitation delayed your yes by a matter of hours. I do not want that for you. I have never wanted that for you. That is why the warning on this video was written the way it was, not to threaten you into obedience out of terror, but to wake you up before hesitation cost you something Barak never got back. Remember what I told you at the very beginning. I said finding this was an accident, but receiving this was an appointment. I said the punishment in "I will punish those who skip" was never my hand striking you down, but the quiet cost of stepping back from your own breakthrough. Now you have seen it 3 times. In the wilderness, where the 22,000 went home, and the water ran without them. In the valley, where 9,700 put their faces down and missed being chosen, and on Mount Tabor, where Barak's hesitation, even in victory, cost him the fullness of what could have been entirely his. This is what I meant when I warned you not to skip this, not fire from the sky, the quiet ache of almost. And I am not willing to let you live in almost one more day. Comment the phrase "standing firm" below right now if you are done living in almost. If you are done letting hesitation write the ending of your story instead of letting me write it. Do it now, while your spirit is still tender from what you just heard. Now I need to introduce you to Seline, because her story is different from Delphine's and different from Tobias and Annika's, and I need you to understand exactly why, because I believe with everything in me that Seline's story is the one many of you watching right now need the most. Seline Marchetti lives in Mobile, Alabama. Several months ago, she went through what she now calls, in her own words, the collapse. A mental health crisis so severe that for a period of time, she could not safely be left alone in her own home. Her sister moved in for 6 weeks. Her husband took a leave of absence from work. There were hospital visits. There were medications that did not work before they found ones that did. There were nights where Seline sat on the floor of her closet with the door closed because the walls of the rest of the house felt too big, too exposed, too much. Seline told me, in a prayer she prayed at 3 a.m. during the worst of it, something that I want every single person watching this to hear exactly as she said it. She said, "God, I don't even know if you're still there, because if you were, I don't understand why you would let me feel this much pain and still be breathing. I'm not asking you to fix me. I don't think I believe you can anymore. I'm just asking you not to let me be alone in the dark tonight." I was not going to let her be alone in the dark that night, or any night since. Seline's healing has not looked like Delphine's 10 weeks, and it has not looked like Tobias and Annika's 5 months. Seline's healing is still unfolding right now, as I speak these words to you. She has good days and days that are still hard. She has a therapist she trusts now, after cycling through 3 who were not the right fit. She has a small group of women from her church who take turns checking on her, not because she asked them to, but because I placed it on their hearts to keep showing up, even when Seline could not find the words to ask for help. Seline told her sister recently that the verse that has carried her through the hardest stretches has been Psalm 27, verse 14. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord. She said she used to hate that verse because waiting felt like punishment when she was in the deepest part of the collapse. But she said something shifted in her a few weeks ago. She said she realized the verse does not say, wait for the Lord and feel nothing while you do it. It says, be strong and take heart while you wait. It gives her permission to still be in process. It gives her permission to not have an ending yet. My child, I want you to hear this next part directly from me, not filtered through Seline's story, though her story carries it beautifully. If your breakthrough has not come yet, if you have been praying for weeks or months or years, and you are still, right now, in the middle of the storm with no visible shoreline, you have not failed. You have not been forgotten. You have not fallen through some crack in heaven that Deline and Tobias managed to avoid. You are exactly where Seline is, still unfolding, still being carried, even on the days it does not feel like it, especially on the days it does not feel like it. I told you at the start of this message that some of you would be tempted to leave before the reveal came. I want you to know, if you are still here, still reading, still with me, even in the exhaustion, even in whatever version of the collapse you are carrying tonight, that is not weakness. That is the exact posture of the 300 who kept their eyes up while everyone else put their face down. That is Seline, sitting in her closet at 3 a.m, still whispering a prayer even when she said she did not believe I could still hear her. She kept speaking anyway. That is what strong and take heart looks like in real life. It rarely looks like triumph. It usually looks like showing up one more time when you had every reason not to. I want to tell you what happened to someone else who was in a season just like Seline's, still unfolding, still uncertain, and who chose, in the middle of that uncertainty, to sow a seed of faith through the super thanks button on a message like this one. She told her sister afterward that she did not give because she believed it would fix her circumstances overnight. She gave because, in the middle of feeling like she had nothing left to offer anyone, giving something, anything, reminded her that she was not only a person receiving from me. She was also still a person capable of pouring something out, and that small act of pouring out began to loosen something in her spirit that months of receiving alone had not been able to reach. Within weeks, she said, she noticed her good days beginning to outnumber her hard days for the first time in a long while. I am not telling you that your seed will fix a crisis the way it seemed to loosen something in her. I will never promise you a transaction with heaven, because that is not what this is. But I am telling you that obedience to a nudge, even a small one, even a financial one that feels strange to act on in the middle of your own storm, has always been one of the ways I have moved my people from surviving into strength. You do not have to give. Please hear that fully. Nothing about what I have spoken over you tonight is contingent on a dollar amount. But if your spirit is nudging you right now, if there is a small, quiet insistence rising up in you as you read this, that nudge is me, and obedience to it, even when it makes no sense, even when your own storm is not finished yet, has always unlocked the next level for the people I love. If you feel led, sow now. And if you do not feel led, stay exactly where you are, because your place in this message is not diminished by an empty hand. It never was. Now, my child, I want to bring you back to the very beginning of this message, because it is time to close the loop I opened when you first pressed play. You clicked on a title that warned you everything could fall apart if you ignored it. You saw a thumbnail with words sharp enough to make your stomach tighten. I will punish those who skip. And I told you at the start that by the end, you would understand exactly what those words truly meant. Here is the full weight of it now, laid out in front of you. The falling apart was never a threat from my hand. It was the water running past the 22,000 who went home too soon in the wilderness. It was the breakthrough, handed to 300 instead of 10,000, simply because most were not watching closely enough to be chosen. It was the glory that slipped from Barak's hands into Jael's, because hesitation delayed a yes that should have come instantly. And it was every single day someone like you almost let go of a 5-month wait 1 week before the door clicked open, or almost stopped praying strong and take heart 1 prayer before the waiting finally gave way to daylight. I will punish those who skip was never me, promising to strike you. It was me, pleading with you, in the only language urgent enough to make you stop scrolling, to not be the one who sits in the tent while the river runs a few 100 feet away. You did not skip. You are still here. That already tells me everything I need to know about who you have chosen to be tonight. I want you to press subscribe right now, not because a channel needs a number to grow, but because there are more words coming for your specific season. Words I have already written and simply have not spoken yet, and I refuse to let you miss the next one, the way some almost missed this one. Subscribe now, so that when the next message arrives, timed exactly for the exact week you will need it most, you are standing ready with your eyes up, the way the 300 stood, instead of scrolling past with your face down in distraction. Type the word redeemed 1 more time in the comments below. Let it be the closing seal on everything you have received tonight. Delphine's 10 weeks, Tobias and Annika's 5 months, Seline's still unfolding story, carried 1 Psalm 27 verse 14 prayer at a time. All of it belongs to the same family of promises, and tonight you have been grafted into that family simply by staying to the end. Comment 616 as well, if you are ready to carry what has been placed in you tonight out into your actual life, starting tomorrow morning, starting with the very first person you speak to when you wake up. And if something in you is still nudging toward the super thanks button, do not resist it out of guilt or obligation, but do not ignore it out of fear either. Let it be, one final time tonight, a declaration rather than a payment. A way of saying, with your own hands, I believe what has been spoken over me is worth more than what I have to give in return. Share this with the person whose face keeps appearing in your mind as you read this final section. You know who it is. You have known since somewhere around Gideon's story. Send it to them before you close this page, because you may be the exact 300 they need standing beside them in their own valley. My child, I know you came into this message carrying something heavy. I know some of you have been in your own version of Rephidim, cracked and thirsty, wondering if the water was ever really there at all. I know some of you have been standing at your own version of the water's edge for months, wondering if you will ever be counted among the 300 instead of sent home with the 22,000. And I know some of you are still, right this moment, in the middle of your own collapse, closer to Seline's closet floor than to anyone's finished testimony, wondering if strong and take heart is even possible when the waiting has already gone on longer than you thought you could survive. To every single one of you, in every single season I just named, I am not finished with you. I was never going to be finished with you. The warning you clicked on tonight was never meant to frighten you into a corner. It was meant to wake you up, stand you up, and send you walking toward the rock instead of sitting in the tent one more day. So here is what I need you to do now, and this is the last thing, and it matters more than everything that came before it. Go carry what I just gave you. It was never meant to stay here. Do not let it sit in this video, in this moment, in this quiet space between you and me. Take Delphine's 10 weeks with you into your own waiting room. Take Tobias and Anaki's 5 months with you into your own long nights. Take Seline's still unfolding strength with you into your own closet floor, whatever that looks like for you. Take the water from the rock with you into your own dry places. Take the 300 with you into your own valley. Take Deborah's courage and Barak's second chance with you into the hesitation that has cost you too much for too long. Carry it out of this video and into your kitchen tomorrow morning. Carry it into the phone call you have been dreading. Carry it into the waiting room, the empty side of the bed, the closet floor, the office where the bad news might be waiting, the mailbox where the letter has not come yet. Go carry what I just gave you, my child. It was never meant to stay here. It was always meant to go with you.